Our family, his wife and his two sons, up to Washington, D.C. They've been on the mall every day. Molly, tell us, how was it when you first got to town? When did you get to town?
We got to town on Saturday night.
Okay, and what was this? Okay, go ahead.
We went out on the mall yesterday, and it was just people out there just wandering around, just touching base, and people, from Chicago, from Atlanta, from the places I have roots, Philadelphia, and folks are just out there, just walking around, just connecting, seeing the sights, and just kind of figuring out how things were going to be today. And folks got out very early. We did. I know people that went out at 4 this morning,
right,
to
stake out their seats close to the stage.
Yeah, it was just unbelievable number of people. I mean, there's never anything like it in my life.
Yeah. And you were at the Million Man March?
No, I was in Spain.
You were in Spain at that time, so you didn't have anything to compare it to in terms of the volume.
No, we were back here for the Million More movement.
You have to call another number. You have a pen.
This was over the top.
All right. And tell us what the spirit, when you got to town, what is the spirit of the people? And we're hearing reports that upwards of probably about 80–90% of the people who came to D.C. like yourself were African American.
I thought, what I thought was pretty diverse. It was a lot of diversity out there. There were a lot of African Americans, but there were a good number of whites and some Hispanics and Asians as well. But the spirit was high. I mean, obviously it is crowded, but we saw no incidents of violence or anybody losing their temper. It got a little tense at times because you're trying to get on trains, you're trying to get off, you're trying to navigate through lines. And but I think all in all, people really were there to celebrate, and you could feel it. They had some interesting chants going. I think when Bush was announced, there was some boos, there was some na 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 na.
Hey, good. All right.
So that was all interesting. But for us, it was really about being a teachable moment for our children. So we didn't come straight here. We went to Greensboro, North Carolina, to North Carolina A&T first, so that we could stand in front of the monument of the 4 African American freshmen that were at A&T February 1, 1960. Because what I wanted them to understand that what happened today is not even possible without the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, without those 4 students really marching the sit-in movement. So that was kind of the context in which we were trying to, teach our children about what was happening and what they were experiencing, so it could be grounded in some history.
Also, tell us about one thing that was mentioned is the extraordinary amount of security. What was the security checkpoints like, and how were you all moved about?
Well, there was so much blocked off. I mean, there was so many military personnel. All the rooftops were covered. You just look up and you saw, snipers and military people on every roof. And the movement was, we were receiving text messages. I mean, everything was so high tech. It was, hey, the only way you can enter the mall now is 14th Street. My wife got a text, and then we started going to 14th Street rather than trying to enter the mall at a earlier street. So the presence was, just group of the police, military. That was strong. But again, I didn't observe any hostile behavior. I'm always on alert for that. But I didn't see, people, they were pretty helpful, telling you which way to go.
They've been training for months and months in order to just get their customer service skills kind of down to, make people have a good time. And I think the crowd that was coming, the crowd often self-checks itself. So I'm not surprised that there's not any incident. But tell us, as y'all standing there, what strikes you as being that, wow, this is something extremely meaningful? At what point does it sit in for you that this is not only steeped in tradition, but this is something significant, this changing of the guard?
I think what got me was just to see the kind of intergenerational outpouring of people. You saw literally, we saw kids that had to be 2 or 3 years old. They had them wrapped up. Folks were laying on the ground just trying to stay warm until it was actual time, the time. And so you saw old people. You just saw people that you knew that, man, they must have really dug deep to even get here financially. It was just such a diverse economic spectrum, and then just to see black people so proud, and folks were just fired up. And I think, regardless of what we think this can accomplish for us as a people, we cannot deny that this strikes a blow at the myth of white supremacy, the idea that has really controlled so much of our minds intellectually and psychologically. Some of that has to, be put to the wayside, that our children are going to be able to see themselves. They'll be kids. By the time they grow up, the only president that they will have known will have been a black president. And that, I think, cannot be thrown out the window. But interestingly enough, last night, just to kind of put it in context, it was almost surreal. Last night, we're trying to catch a cab. And while we're trying to catch a cab, there's a couple ahead of us, African-Americans from Savannah. And they were, one's an engineer, one's a teacher. The cab drove past them, stopped, and said, we need to ride. They drove past them and went and picked up some white passengers. And I just said, wow. This is really
hey, welcome to America. We're hoping at 12:15 tomorrow. This got to be brought to a halt now.
Yeah, we said, come on, man. This is real.
I know. I told you, up in New York, I had to rent me a white man to just stand out there and hail my cab, and I told him, open the door, and once you pretend like you're going to get it, I'm going to jump in the back seat. That's the only way I was able to get a taxi in New York. I said, man, I'll tap my heel 3 times, just get me back home.
Yeah, and the other thing that was really kind of interesting, because we were able to, I was staying with one of my classmates who went to the Navy Academy with me, and he lived in Alexandria, and he took us over to a place where they actually sold our ancestors.
Okay. Mala, I need to ask you to hold. We got to take a break. I want to hear that part of the story. And also I want to talk to Kobe and Kahari and get from their own perspective, what does it mean to them. We're talking to attorney Mel Davis. He's usually a criminal attorney right here in Atlanta, but for our purposes, he's our DC correspondent to let us know about all things inauguration related. We're also taking your phone calls. What are you feeling? Are you still swelled up with pride? Did you cry a tear? Did you think about Malcolm, Martin, and Edgar? Or what did you think about today? We'll be back in a moment. It's News and Talk 1380 WLK.
Behind every strong black man, there's a strong black woman.
The love of my life, the nation's next First Lady, Michelle Obama.
Michelle Obama. Thanks for having your man's back. Congratulations to the new First Family. From News and Talk 1380 WAOK. News and Talk 1380 WAOK presents the Centennial Honda Battle of Bands. It's going down Saturday, January 24th at the Georgia Dome. Come check out the top 10 HBCU bands, including performances from Florida A&M, Jackson State, Kentucky State.